Also in Washington, CBS News political director John Dickerson. John, good morning.
Good morning, Charlie.
What impact could these hearings have? The Republicans are saying they want to know. What did she know and when did she know it?
Well, that's the big question for President Clinton, for Secretary of State Clinton, who may want to someday be President Clinton.
If she gets past these hearings.
If she gets past these hearings. This is both the capstone to her career as Secretary of State, and if she has ambitions for the presidency later, she has to answer these questions in a way that don't irritate the central irritation for Republicans, which is that the response from the administration has constantly been political, that nobody's gotten a straight story, and that as developments have come out that have changed the initial response from the administration, that because this was during a campaign season, the president and everybody else was answering in a very political way and not in a substantive way. Underneath that, of course, are the substantive questions. What did they know about the situation in Libya before this happened, and were they asleep at the switch?
Another big story today is the debt ceiling and the House Republican plan that they will pass this for another 3 months, and the White House saying they would not veto that. What do you think the Republican strategy is?
Well, the Republican strategy is to take some of the heat off of them. They looked at the situation, saw that they would get an excessive amount of blame if there continued to be this fight over the debt limit. And so they said, let's take some of the heat off of us. We have other fights we can engage in on these crucial questions of spending, too much spending in Washington, and let's try and put some pressure on Democrats. So now we're talking about the fact that the Democratic Senate has not passed a budget in 4 years. Now, the Democrats have lots of explanations for that. But one of the reasons they haven't is they didn't want to take on tough political fights in the Democratic Senate. And so this allows Republicans to put pressure on the Democrats in the Senate. Regular people out in the country kind of wonder why you can't pass a budget. Isn't that a minimum job requirement? So that takes heat off of House Republicans, tries to put it on the Democrats, gives them a little bit better position for these extended budget fights we're going to be in.
John, you're not only the political director of CBS News, you're also write for Slate Magazine. You wrote a piece in which you said the president has decided that accommodations didn't work and that his only remaining option is to pulverize. Some conservatives have jumped back at you. So what do you say to the criticism that they are making? And first of all, go ahead.
Well, yeah, it's been a strong reaction from some conservatives. They thought I was giving the president my personal advice, and that's also, there was some pretty aggressive language in the piece. I wasn't trying to give advice. I was trying to highlight in a very stark way what seems like an impossible to avoid conclusion about this second term. We know the president wants to be transformational and not just bounce along in his second term. We also know he doesn't have much time before he's a lame duck. He's picked a controversial agenda for his second term. And most important, he's decided essentially to write off trying to cajole and schmooze the House GOP. That's just a conclusion they've made in the White House. So given all of those facts, what does an ambitious president try to do? And the only solution I could come up with is that he gets aggressive. That seems the only option. I wrote this before the inauguration. Now he's given a speech that suggests that's exactly what he's going to do.
Thank you, John.
Thanks, John.